Welcome to GlobeWatch Special with me, Charles Ebuni, today inside the High Commission of the Federal Republic of Nigeria today. Exactly 6 days from today, Africa's population and economic giant, plus the continent's largest democracy, Nigeria, goes to the polls to choose a new president. The context between incumbent Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and former military leader Muhammadu Buhari promises to be the most challenged election in Nigeria ever since the return of multi-party politics in 1999 in that country. To a majority of us living outside Nigeria, we see the country today through the eyes of Boko Haram. Rightly or wrongly, we have defined Nigeria according to that expression since the militant group began sustained attacks against the Nigerian government with trans-border security impact across the world. My guest today is a senior foreign policy aide to President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Our claims that the Nigerian military and Abuja in particular is cajoling with the militant group legitimately right or wrong. The permanent secretary to the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs exclusively talks to CRTV. Danjuma Sheni, welcome to GlobeWatch.
Thank you very much.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Boko Haram is to violence in Nigeria what mafia is to crime in Italy.
Well, you may be right, but Boko Haram in Nigeria has indeed inflicted a lot of pains on our people as well as our neighbors. And we are doing everything we can within available resources to really tackle Boko Haram. It is something that came up about 6 years ago, and since then we in the country, our military and the government has been doing everything to ensure that we put a stop to it. So yes, it's a very, very difficult situation for us, and that to that extent you may make the correlation between Boko Haram and mafia.
Mr. Ambassador, President Goodluck Jonathan once said that Boko Haram has led to the death of over 13,000 people in Nigeria. Some international organizations put the number of displaced people at about 2 million. And according to National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki, over 30 million Nigerians may be defranchised next week. I'm not interested in talking about elections. Just tell me, according to Nigeria, what caused Boko Haram?
Very interesting question. Now, Boko Haram primarily was caused, in my view, really, by what we call indoctrination. It started on a very small scale, and before we knew it, it manifested itself into this large, if you like, mafia or large organization that has inflicted so much pain on our people. But the main cause is really indoctrination and the preaching that some of their leaders have really been doing. The name Boko Haram is safe, if you understand it, basically that Western education is bad. And so from that standpoint, the leadership of Boko Haram and its followership proceeded to preach a strange version of religion, really. And like we have said, our government has said severally, it is not Islamic or any other religion. It is just a group of bandits that have just gone to inflict pain on the society.
Okay, a group of bandits who are ready to inflict pain on society, and they have done that. Why do you think Boko Haram should think Western education is bad?
Well, I can't speak for Boko Haram, but I know that, like I said, it's people who are really, really misguided in this modern world, who think that their own way should be the way that others should live. And in doing this, they have carried all the atrocities we have talked about now. Even the Boko Haram name itself, you say Western education is bad, for instance, you're still using the modern technology. But let me make this point clear. Boko Haram is a small group. It's not a mainstream religious group. Completely a small and minute, misguided group of individuals.
Ambassador, a majority of us in the outside world, and those who are listening to you talking now, who seem to say that you are not ready to unveil the real causes of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Some outside Nigeria believe that this is a Frankenstein monster which was created by some Nigerian politicians, and that today they are unable to contain it. I give you an example. The Christmas Day bomber of 2011, Kabiru Sokoto, was caught and found in the house of the official residence of the governor of Sokoto in the federal capital territory. Can Nigeria convince the rest of the world that Boko Haram is not an offshoot of failed leadership?
Of course, any group of individuals can bring up certain excuses to promote exactly what they want to say. But I can tell you that it is not an issue of failed leadership. Yes, like many developing countries, Nigeria may have its challenges, but that is not enough for a group of individuals to pick up arms against the state and then begin to inflict the kind of damages and harm we have seen on our people and our neighbors, really. Yeah.
To be fair to Nigeria, there is no nation on earth which has felt the pangs of Boko Haram more than Nigeria. That is a fact.
That's correct.
I just want you to tell me the initial measures which were taken by the Nigerian administration to deal with Boko Haram.
Well, when the issue of Boko Haram came to the limelight about 6 years ago, first it was police action. Police went in Maiduguri, where they were to arrest the leadership of Boko Haram and disperse the followers. After that, when it grew into a much larger phenomenon, the government declared a state of emergency in the 3 states. And then, of course, we've been talking to our neighbors on the need really to contain Boko Haram. And we've been talking to the international community now that, look, a threat anywhere in any country is a threat against every other country. And therefore, the Nigerian government has involved an enlightenment program domestically. It has evolved at the bilateral level, its neighbors, so that everybody would see the harm and threat of Boko Haram. And we've gone even to the AU now.
Mr. Permanent Secretary, I would like you to be more specific, because some of us living outside Nigeria, when we read the newspapers, when we watch television, when we listen to the radio, everybody concludes, rightly or wrongly, like I said in the introduction, that Nigeria is cajoling with Boko Haram. Can you be specific to me, to tell me exactly what Nigeria is doing to deal with this issue?
Yes, I will. For instance, at the military level, a new division was created in Maiduguri called the 7th Division, specifically aimed at containing Boko Haram. We have sought cooperation from a lot of our partners, especially our Western partners, in the procurement of arms to fight Boko Haram. So we have done quite a lot. The military, and we must praise our military, they have done quite a lot to contain Boko Haram. We have a military operation going on day and night around the fringes of the Nigerian border. So the government is doing quite a lot in that regard.
You just said that we have to praise the Nigerian military. Nigerian National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki, I quote him again, recently described the Nigerian military as made up of cowards, and that they abandon weapons to Boko Haram, they run away battles. Why is the Nigerian military? When I was a student studying history in the university, I heard of the West African Peacekeeping Force, ECOMOG. And all what they were saying was the value of the Nigerian military. Why do you think the Nigerian military is somehow sympathetic with Boko Haram?
No, I wouldn't go as far as saying the Nigerian military is sympathetic. No. Now you have to understand what is going on clearly.
What is going on?
This is not a conventional war as we know it. Boko Haram is not an identifiable enemy in uniform that you see. Boko Haram are a group of individuals who mix sometimes with the society. They are just wear the same clothes with members of the community, and the Nigerian military is always in uniform and easily identifiable, which is not the case with Boko Haram. It's not as if it's a structured army that you confront. So it's a new thing that our military really is not used to it. And you're absolutely right. Our army has performed very well in ECOMOG, in both Liberia and Sierra Leone. Prior to that, we have done extremely well in Congo and different other peacekeeping operations.
Why are you not excelling with your own internal conflict? That is a difficulty.
Well, the military is doing its best. That's the point I'm telling you. But this is not an identifiable enemy, so to say. These are a group of people who live in the society. So it's difficult. And our army is not known or has not experienced this kind of terrorist and warfare before. It's something that is completely new.
Okay.
And then, of course, the army is always very careful about civilian casualties. So it is something that is completely new. And I think given the circumstances, they are doing extremely well.
Let's talk Nigeria's diplomatic efforts to eliminate Boko Haram. My guest last week on this program was the new U.S. ambassador to Cameroon, Michael Stephen Hoza. And from Paris to Yaoundé to Niamey to Nigeria. Can we have details of Nigeria's international policy on Boko Haram?
Oh, basically, I told you before that we have engaged our partners. At the bilateral level, we are talking with our neighbors. Chad, Cameroon, for instance, and Niger, Benin. We are into, the good news is that all of these countries are on board in the fight against Boko Haram. We have also gone to the ECOWAS and the AU, and ultimately to the UN, to put squarely the issue of Boko Haram on the agenda of the international community, for them to know that this is not a Nigerian matter alone. While the field of the theater of war may be Nigeria, the effect is really international. And when you look at what is happening in different parts of the world, ISIS, for instance, is similar ideology. So Nigeria is doing, and will continue to do its best diplomatically. And here I must praise our neighbors. They have done extremely well in terms of support. Where we are now, the government of Cameroon has been very supportive, as the government of Niger, Chad, and Benin, and indeed some other West African countries.
Let's talk cooperation at the level of intelligence sharing. I know that initially Nigeria asked Cameroon for airspace to destroy Boko Haram, and Cameroon told them that, look, we don't have Boko Haram houses in Cameroon, and they didn't open a diplomatic space to pursue Boko Haram in Cameroon. Today, the Chadian forces are striking inside Nigeria, and maybe with other forces. Just how far are you going to share at the level of international legal operations in terms of intelligence sharing, cross-border pursuing of Boko Haram, and maybe possibly a total storming of the Zambeza forest where it is believed their camps are found?
Well, let's first talk about the issue of cooperation in intelligence gathering. I'm sure you are aware that our intelligence services have all come together, and they do have a fusion cell in Nigeria. It's not a secret, it's open, under the leadership of Cameroon, for instance, as coordinator. And so the various bodies, countries really are doing extremely well at the level of intelligence gathering. Now, as regards to whether and when they would enter Zambeza forest, you know, those are military issues, and those in charge will decide when it is appropriate to do that.
Has Nigeria faced any challenge in this Boko Haram episode?
Oh, of course, we do have challenges, one of which is initially there was a reluctance, if you like. A lot of people have seen the thing as purely a Nigerian thing. While we try to explain that, look, this is not an issue that is restricted to Nigeria. A lot of, particularly our international partners, didn't think that was the case. The good news now is that everybody is on board. We are now on the same page with our neighbors, with our international partners on the fight against Boko Haram. The second challenge was the issue of the procurement of military hardware. Again, there was an initial reluctance by some of our partners.
I know
but
that.
Again,
I know that
again,
the United States of America has refused to sell Nigeria hardware military equipment to tackle Boko Haram. Why do you think the U.S. government will do that?
Well, if you know the so-called Leahy rule, which the U.S. is using to not to sell arms to Nigeria, they had certain concerns, but we've reassured them that those concerns do not apply in our case. And
which are some of those concerns?
I'll come to that in a minute. But if you've been following development, the chairman, for instance, of the House Committee on U.S. Foreign Affairs, has insisted that Nigeria should be given the necessary arms. In fact, he said it was going to ensure that there is a change in the Leahy deal, for instance, or act, because there is an increasing awareness that for Nigeria to succeed, there are certain kinds of weapons that we need, especially the Zambeza forest that you are talking about. We need certain peculiar kinds of arms, really. And I think that there is a rethinking generally. So gradually, we all are coming on board, or our neighbors and our partners are coming on board.
One of the criticisms or challenges which has been leveled against the Nigerian administration by some of us living outside Nigeria is that Nigeria does not trust our partners, and that the Nigerian military is divided, and that the Nigerian military is made up of amateurs. These are words you can find in international newspapers, and even politicians make such statements, and they base their arguments on the conflictual or conflicting statements within the Nigerian military. For example, Army Chief of Staff Alex Bade will come and rally the international media and tell you guys, see, we have struck a deal with Abubakar Shekau, the girls will be released, the Chibok girls, and it turns out not to be true. presidential publicity and media relations officer doing Okupe will go to her talk on BBC and say, I know where the girls are found, and it is getting close a year, we are not found. Why all this confusion in the Nigerian elite military corps?
I would call them really confusion, but I'll just tell you that there are different approaches to trying, using your example, to rescue the girls. The government has reached out to different bodies, those who claim to have some contacts with those who, for instance, are holding our girls. And the government is anxious to have these girls released to us. And therefore, when you have an opening, you do not close the door, you have to pursue it. Unfortunately, in the particular example you mentioned, it turned out not to be exactly what we thought it was. But we would not leave any opening that we think would lead to our girls being rescued and brought back safely just because we do not trust it. That's one.
Your Excellency, if Boko Haram gives us the only option, the payment of ransom, a statement the Nigerian government does not want to hear as the condition to liberate the Chibok schoolgirls, will you back down?
Well, the government as a policy, as indeed different governments in the world, not really to negotiate on, with terrorists. We do not want to encourage any terrorists to embark on certain action and begin to act. But like I said, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I still use the expression that some of us living outside Nigeria think that the Nigerian military has somehow empowered Boko Haram insurgents. You know that there are armed thugs in Nigeria, and that is how Boko Haram got its weapons. But when you look of recent, the kind of weaponry that Boko Haram uses means that weapons are equally coming from somewhere. According to Nigeria, who is feeding Boko Haram with logistics?
That's exactly what we want to know, because we are also interested in finding out where exactly is Boko Haram getting the kind of arms they are getting. But I'll tell you what, I believe the days of Boko Haram, the days are numbered. Given the new level, renewed cooperation we have with our neighbors, the routes where, for instance, they may be getting these arms from would not be there again. And so I prefer to look forward and be excited about what is going on currently.
What about funding?
Funding
of
military?
Boko Haram. Who funds them?
That's exactly the same question you asked before. I want to know who funds them. We in Nigeria are also interested.
You are aware of the fact that there is some missing $20 billion in the Nigerian Central Bank. You are aware of the fact that Nigeria's National Anti-Graft Agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, stated that since independence in 1960, Nigeria has lost plus $440,000 billion to illegal businesses. You are equally aware of the fact that this money may have ended in the hands of people like Abubakar Shekau. What will be the mechanisms, especially to combat financial terrorism in Nigeria? That is what we should be talking.
Yes, I understand your question, but let me correct certain impressions first. First, about the so-called $20 billion that was said to be missing. A few days ago, a forensic audit of the NNPC, the report was submitted to the president. Just a few days ago, maybe 3-4 days ago. And this was done by some very good and renowned auditing firm from outside Nigeria. And what they recorded in that report was that the sum of 1.48 billion, not missing, but was not remitted by NIPC into government account. As of today, yesterday, the Minister of Petroleum ordered that money should be remitted back into the Federation account. So there is no 20 billion that is missing at all. Now, the issue of corruption and since independence, this is what has been of concern to every Nigerian. Yes, there is, like most other countries in the world, some corruption. We're not going to deny that. But I do not think that would be the source of funding, really, for Boko Haram. Like you said, this has been there since the 1960s. Boko Haram has just come on board 5-6 years ago.
Ambassador, we would like to end with a question which has to do with eliminating Boko Haram completely. It is estimated that Boko Haram killed over 2,000 people in Nigeria in a day in the town of Baga. It is just an estimate. Did we really need Boko Haram to kill that number of people for Cameroon, Chad, Niger, Benin to understand that there was need for cooperation, including Nigeria? No,
we did not need.
Because it is after that episode that everybody says we don't want this again. Did we really need to reach at that level?
No, even before that, I hope you do know that prior to that, we've been talking with our neighbors. And we do have bilateral cooperation agreements with our neighbors. Even before the kind of episode you are describing, it was an unfortunate, I'm not too sure about the numbers you are quoting.
Nobody is sure of the numbers.
Yeah, even if it's one person that was killed, that is one person too many. Yes, but prior to that and after that, we have been talking to our neighbors. And like I told you, we are quite happy at the level of cooperation we are having now. And let me, since it seems you are concluding, let you know that the days of Boko Haram are actually numbered. I am very optimistic that with the new level of cooperation we have, it would not be too long when we would, Boko Haram would be history.
The Permanent Secretary to the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Danjuma Sheni, thanks very much for being guest on GlobeWatch.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Thank you.